All right, so we let the glue set overnight, and I went ahead and pulled the tape off of this so you can see the joints. I think they turned out really well, just a couple small little hairline separations. So if you're wanting to build a D20, you're pretty much done at this point. Just sand off these faces, paint it up, and put some numbers on it, and you're ready to go. Next, we're going to turn this into a round sphere. I'm going to do that over here on the lathe. And I was going to show you how to do it with a traditional lathe tool, but to be honest with you, I'm not a master wood turner. There are plenty of guys that have videos on YouTube that'll show you exactly how to turn a wooden sphere, either using a radius jig or just using the hand tools. I'm going to use this radius sanding jig that I built. I built this just for turning these small balls. If you want to see how I built that, check out my video list, and I've got the whole thing on there. I'm going to get this mounted up between centers. We'll get it spinning, and I'll show you how I sand these into a smooth ball. So here I'm using an angle grinder that has a 36 grit disc on it to take off some of these high spots. I do that just to eliminate some of the work for my smaller sander on the radius jig. But if you want to, you can keep on sanding with this rough disc until you start to see more of a ball shape form. Whenever you start to see a circle form in the center of those triangles, you'll know that you're getting pretty close to round. And then you can switch to an 80 and then a 120 disc. And it's going to take a little more time, but you can get it pretty good that way. Then work it out with your pieces of hand sandpaper after that. But I've done some by hand like that, and it works pretty good if you want to try it that way. Sanding by hand, this is about the point that you want to stop and switch to an 80 grit disc. You start to see there's a little bit of flat area still left in the center of those triangles. And at this point, if you're sanding by hand, you can still see there's a little bit of a flat area left in some of those, but you probably should move to a 120 at this point. You want to take off as little material as possible and just get it round, and then move to your finer grits. And you have to remember that at this point, the centers of those little spiderweb areas are only about 5/16 of an inch thick, so you don't want to keep going too much past when you start seeing it become round, or you will break through. Now that's smooth to 150, and I like to put a couple pencil marks on each side of it, so that'll help guide me when I'm taking these nubs off the end. The smaller circle is just kind of where the nub starts to flare out into the smooth part. Now just take your time and you remove these nubs off the end. Kind of use the circles as your guide. Just go slow and kind of feel as you take off the material. Usually your sense of touch is better than your eyes, so you can kind of feel those little bumps. Just sand them off, and then when you get it pretty smooth, you can turn it on and sand it with a sheet of sandpaper. You can kind of feel those bumps, so just take your time and try to get them all off of there. I'm just hanging this from a long push pin, just kind to use for corkboard. Just find one of the dark spots in it, drill a small hole and push that push pin in. And then I'm giving it a couple coats of rattle can lacquer. Now this is a Minwax brand. I like it because it has a really nice fan on the spray nozzle. It does a real nice job. Just give it a couple coats and you'll have a really nice clear finish on it.
All right, we are done. Got about 3 coats of clear lacquer on this, and then I buffed those out with some 4OS steel wool. I think this one turned out great. We only had one little hairline split that I had to put some CA glue in. I think the beauty of the Baltic birch plywood is you never really know what you're going to get until you sand through the layers. You get these dark pin knots and splits and different colors of veneer in the rings. But I think that just adds to the beauty of the finished product. If you don't have access to Baltic birch plywood where you live, or you don't want to buy a full sheet, just go to my website and I've got some pre-cut pieces there. I hope you guys found this video useful, and we will see you next time.